Hello, my name is Christian, and we are going to go over together chemical, mind my handwriting, I'm sorry, concentration formulas. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Christian, I hate math. Why are we doing it in biomedical? I'm here to tell you that it's super easy and you don't have to worry about it, okay? It's just like multiplication. So, the first two things you're going to need to know is volume and mass. I'm sure you've probably heard of these terms before, but we're just going to go over it one more time. Volume is measured in liters with this symbol, and mass is measured in grams with this symbol. So, next to your liters, you're going to draw a little arrow, and you're going to put some kind of solution. That's going to remind you that volume deals with a liquid and what is inside of a liquid, the measurement inside. And for grams, you're going to draw like a little petri dish or a scale, and on top of it you're going to draw a whole bunch of specks on there that represent like grains of salt, and you'd measure that in grams. This is important because in America we don't use grams, we use things like pounds, but since this is a science program, we have to use the metric system. Okay, for conversions, which means taking one unit of measurement and changing it to a different unit of measurement, it's going to be incredibly simple. You're going to love it. So let's say you're going from 1 gram and you're trying to find a new measurement that we haven't talked about. A milligram. We're going to write that next to it. Milligram. How would we get from 1 gram to a milligram, you might be asking? It's very simple. You're going to take your decimal point, where 1 is, and you're going to put it 3 to the right. Which means that 1 gram is equal to 1,000 milligrams. And the same thing could be done with a liter. So you have, for an example, 1 liter, and you're trying to find how many milliliters. You would simply take your decimal point right here, and you would go 3 to the right, like so. There's one more. So in 1 liter, there's 1,000 milliliters, just like in grams. But there's one more step that we need to go through, and that's going from milligrams, or milliliters, to micrograms and microliters. The little u here represents micro. Okay? And when you think of micro, you think of something smaller. So, obviously, a microgram is going to be smaller than a milligram, which means that there's going to be more micrograms into 1 milligram. So we're once again going to take our little decimal place right here, and we're going to move it 3 to the right again. Which means that in 1 milligram, there's 1,000 micrograms. And the same thing here with milliliters. You're going to take your 1, and you're going to move it 3 to the right, meaning that there's 1,000 microliters in a milliliter. We're going to do the exact same thing, but from the other side. For an example, we'll take 1.1 microgram, and we're going to try to find how many milligrams are in it first. So from going from a microgram, you're going to be 1.1, and instead of moving it to the right 3, you're moving it to the left 3 because you are getting bigger instead of smaller like before. Oopsies. So the answer is going to be 0.0011 milligram. So 1 microgram is going to be equal to 0.0011 milligram. Then we'll do it one more time, going from milligrams over to grams. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Into grams. So you're going to take that exact same thing again, 1, 2, 1, 1, and you're once again going to bring this over 1, 2, 3 spots. So how many grams are equal to a microgram? 0.000011. Don't mind this, that was a mistake. Okay, I'm going to give you an example and you're going to do it on your own. Hopefully you can do it. I'll pause it for you. Well, somebody else will pause it. I'll count to 5. You're going to be going from 250 grams to how many micrograms? And you're going to figure that out. I'll give you 5 seconds to do it on your own. And you can pause it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So just like how we did before, we're going to take our grams, 250, and since we're going smaller, and there's more units in a smaller one to equal a big gram, we're going to be adding zeros. So here's your decimal point. We're first going to be going from grams to milligrams first. So you're going to take your decimal point, and you're going to go 1, 2, 3 over. So that's going to equal 250,000, right? That's how many milligrams are inside of this gram. And now we're going to go from this to micrograms. So we're going to add, once again, 250, 1, 2, 3. There you go. And we're going to go, once again, 3 over 1, 2, 3. So your answer is going to be 250 million micrograms. Okay, I hope you got that right. Now we're going to use what we just learned into an actual question you might see on the test. So, we're going to start off by just writing out the question. So, you're going to be forced to calculate the volume in liters of a 25 milligram per milliliter stock solution required to make a 300 milliliter solution with a concentration of 5 milligrams per milliliter. Now, that's a lot. And if you saw on that test, and even if I saw that on the test, I'd be pooping my pants right now, because that seems like a lot. But it's easy if we just take it step by step. We're going to take the keywords. So you're going to find the volume in liters of a 25 milligram per milliliter stock solution. So that's going to be a concentration because it has both of them in it. Okay? Required to make a 300 milliliter solution. And going back to our past notes, we know that if it's working with liters, it's going to be volume. So we know this is volume with a concentration of this many. So this is a concentration, this is a concentration, and that is a volume. If it makes it easier to see it, you're starting off with 1 glass of water, or a solution, we don't know what it is, and a second glass of a solution. And we're going from this solution, which has a concentration of 25 milligrams per milliliter, but we don't know how much liquid is inside of this. Okay. But we do know that the concentration of how many stuff is in it is a lot more than the second one. So in this first one, we know it's the concentration is equal to 25 milligrams per milliliter. And this one is 5 milligrams per milliliter. My bad. There you go. So, this one is going to have a lot of stuff in it because it's 25, and 25 is bigger than the 5 here. Like if you had 25% of stuff in a juice box, there'd be a lot of stuff in it, but if you only had 5, it's going to be a smaller amount. So we're going to add a little bit of stuff in here, like that much, and that's it. What else do we know about this volume right here? We know what the volume is. We not only know the concentration, like we did for both of them, but we know the volume for this one. The volume for this is going to be 300 milliliters. Okay. Equals the volume. Sounds good? Good. Now, the equation to find out how much volume was in this original solution is going to be this. So write this down. It's concentration 1 times volume 1 is equal to concentration 2 times volume 2. You might also see this as mass 1 times volume 1 is equal to mass 1 times volume 2. So, this is our first volume, this is our first concentration, this is our second concentration, and this is our second volume, because it's in the second cup, right? Okay, so from this equation we see right here, we're going to just plug in these numbers, okay? It's going to go right next to it. So the first concentration was 25, so we're going to put 25 times some kind of volume, we don't know the first volume, is equal to the second concentration, which is 5, times the volume, the second volume, 300. So, once we multiply these together, we get 1500 is equal to 25V, right? That's 25V is equal to 1500. Now we want to find what V is all by itself. So, how would we do that? We would divide both sides by 25 to get volume by itself, to volume equals to 1, right? So, how many 25s can fit into 1500? Well, to get 100, you have 4 25s, and you have 15 of those 100s. So 15 times 4 is going to give you 60, is equal to your volume 1. Now, you just found your answer. However, if you look back at the question, it says calculate the volume in liters. This right now, since we started with all of these being milliliters, this answer is going to be milliliters. We have to find the amount of liters that this equals. So, using what we learned from before, how do you turn 60 milliliters into liters? I'll give you a few seconds to do it by yourself, and then we'll go over the answer together. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, what we would do is we'd take our 60 milliliters, and because we're going to a bigger volume, like we did, we are going to take our decimal place, and we're going to move it to the left, 1, 2, 3. And that's going to give you how many liters you have. So your answer is going to be 0.06 liters. I'll write this right next to it. 0.06 liters is your answer. And ta-da, you just did this what looks like an incredibly hard question. But once you simplify it, it's incredibly easy. I hope you enjoyed.